Well, welcome to Dr. Bill's hiking channel. In the background, got a work by Sarah Irvin, a local Richmond artist, one of her water lily series. And then this is a Coke Man from Howard Finster, the naive artist over in northwest Georgia back years ago who worked on, that one's on cheap plywood panel. Anyway, here we are. I've written a book. Some of you have met me on the trail, and I would have given you a copy of my little 8-page book, 7 pages, 8 counting the cover. It's called Three Basic Worldviews. I know you can't read that. I will read it to you. This is based on a decades-long familiarity with the work of Kenneth Boa over in the Atlanta area. You can see his work at kenboa.org, boa like the boa constrictor. Okay, 3 basic worldviews. Number 1, here's the picture. You see the little guy with the atom and the rays coming off of it. It is ultimate reality is the visible universe. Nothing outside. That's what it says in the drawing. Nothing outside the visible universe. There's only time, matter, energy, random processes. And in this grouping of worldviews, we would have things like humanists, agnostics, materialists, transcendentalists. So if you want to see the ultimate logic applied to this point of view, go read Bertrand Russell's essay, A Thinking Man's Religion. And his conclusion is, get used to despair. There's nobody out there listening. And then also in college, I was reading the French existentialists, and they concluded that the universe is absurd. So that was what my takeaway was from them. So folks here really have to be careful that they don't smuggle in from other worldviews unwittingly that some things that are rooted in Western thought already. So ideas of justice and so forth. The second worldview has a little guy in the circle and kind of a cloud around on the outside of the circle. This is that ultimate reality is spiritual. There is something outside of the visible universe, the visible measurable universe. It is spiritual, but it is impersonal. And so outside this life, there may be a god, gods, angels, demons, ancestors that have some sort of other existence than what we have. But ultimately, if you go out far enough, you find that this spiritual reality is eventually impersonal. And maybe some of the Eastern religions would talk about all is one is all, the cloud of unknowing, but beyond it all is some sort of impersonal force or spirit. And from my observation in this set of worldviews, moral categories are really difficult. Some practitioners here of these very serious people find that both good and evil are irrelevant and illusions. And so someone has critiqued this cluster of worldviews, saying there is no such thing as unjust suffering. There is no injustice if you are suffering. And some even believe some here even believe that what we call the physical realm is an illusion. But I'm a scientist, so I find it difficult to. I keep running into cold hard reality. And so I can't go there. I don't have much sympathy for that point of view. And then there are those others who feel that somehow the universe takes care, as though the universe is a caring being. And I think that's, again, smuggling from another worldview. I guess they're just not wanting to say God. God provides. They say instead the universe provides. So, and again, they would have to be careful they're not smuggling in values from the third worldview, which in this case is ultimate reality is spiritual and personal. So here we have a little guy in nature, birds in the sky, trees, flowers, and we have nature and beauty, but also we have what we would call good and evil. And in this, my brief description is there is a God who knows your name, who can be interacted with on a person-to-person basis. So the three great monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, would fall here. Okay, they fall in this cluster of beliefs. So God has personality. As Dr. Boa succinctly states it, God has mind, will, emotions, and intellect, and is able to relate to the individual. Now, right and wrong and physical reality, beauty, love, even logic, these things are very real. They are not just illusions. So this God can be prayed to as a person, and we would go immediately to the Psalms, for example, in the Old Testament, where we find God the person being addressed, and then God the person addressing the individual at times. So, but here's where it gets tricky. I'm going to extend something Dr. Boa said. I see three basic spins on this. Number one, God has wound it all up and gone on to other things, but he left us to work it out for ourselves with precepts and guiding principles. So we end up being somewhat alone in the universe, and I think this is moving over back toward that second category where ultimate reality is impersonal. Okay, view number B, or letter B, A is God has gone off and left us alone. B is God is angry with us all the time. And I certainly know some Christians who come from this point of view, but you can parse that out for yourself. God of rules and very demanding and so forth. Or category C, the one that I currently hold, is that God is really there. He knows your name, and he is calling you to himself. That God is calling you to himself. This God, this is what I wrote, this God who is knowable and knows you completely has made a way for reconciliation through Jesus' perfect life, death, and resurrection. So through a lifetime of working these things out for myself, I've come to believe only that last one satisfies me. That ultimate reality is personal, but that God is calling you back to himself. So you can read about this in the New Testament. I would suggest you start with the Gospel of John, and after you've read that, go through the Acts of the Apostles. It's another book in the New Testament. And if you'd like to read these things together, say a chapter a week, something like that, just contact me. You can get to me on the contact possibilities here on YouTube. Thanks.